our brand. So letting go, releasing, shedding all of the stuff that we're holding on the pride to not share, to not show up in the way Okay, so now that we're a little dropped in and anchored into this present moment and have started to feel into what it is we're here to do, we are here to bring a brand to life, whether you have a brand or whether you're starting from scratch. This workshop today is here to either help you renew it or start afresh. So as somebody who has been working online for many years, and if you've been around to witness my journey, then you might have seen the amount of times I've rebranded and gone on these little journeys. And so yeah, like I think in my spiel I even wrote how I'm the queen of death and rebirth, and obviously that's a very Scorpio thing, and that's why we're working on this season right now too, like being in Scorpio season, and so much happening astrologically and on the world stage at the moment. There's so much wild stuff happening, and it's a really beautiful time to really emerge beyond that and to look at, okay, well, yeah, the world might be in chaos, but what do I have to offer, and what's the gift I can serve, and how can I show up even despite all of that, knowing that chaos and destruction is necessary for creation. And we speak about this a lot inside the coven, like it's this metamorphosis journey and these seasons and cycles that we go on that allows us to actually stay in the essence of creation and in the essence of who we are, and alive and pulsing, and we don't have these brands and these businesses that become sterile and stagnant, and just like everyone else's, we have like this soul and this feeling and this deep wisdom moving through them. So that's what we'll be speaking about today. So before we go too deep in, firstly, I just want to speak about what is brand. So when it comes to this conversation around branding, there's this this idea that branding is just like your colors and your logos, and like there's nothing else to it. Once you've got that, you've got a brand, and that's that. But in this age of social media and personal brands, like there's a lot more to branding than just colors and a logo. It's an energy, it's the stories you tell, it's the connection you create with every interaction, it's how you make people feel. So that's the real essence. The true meaning of branding is it's how you make people feel. It's what people say about you when you're not in the room. It's the impact you have when you're not present and people still feel you. And I have so many examples of this where it's like anybody who knows me knows I'm obsessed with drum and bass, and I get people messaging me all the time saying, oh, I was here and I heard this and I thought of you. Or like when I was doing tech witch, and then people would be like run into me in real life and be like, oh, you're that tech witch, I've seen you on social media. Or they'll like see a color and think of you. Like people always associate red with me, and that's why I brought red back into my branding, because I'm like, it's just quintessentially me. It's what people associate me with. Why? And it's what I'm drawn to always be wearing, so why is it not in my brand? So when we really come down to branding, and what we'll be exploring today is it's the energy you bring into a space. So it's the personality and essence that infuses your words, visuals, and tone. It's the emotions you evoke. So it's how people feel when they interact with your content, your offerings, and community. And it's a promise of purpose and experience. So your brand represents the impact you're here to create and the vision you hold for those you serve. And it's the alignment of what you say and how you show up. So it's consistency and authenticity that builds trust over time, reflecting your deepest values. So when we think of it from that respect, when you create a brand, you're not just slapping something together, you're taking people on a journey, you're creating an experience. Like something else we talk about in the Coven is we're creating worlds, and so each time you add a new layer in, it's another way for people to experience you and your world. So this funnel leads to this, and this post leads to that. Like each thing is taking people on a journey through this world that you've created, and all of that is part of your brand. So when you create a brand, you're creating an experience. Every color, every message, every interaction becomes a part of that experience. And this is what leaves a lasting impression that goes beyond just what people see. And it's a feeling they remember, a story they carry, and an energy that resonates. And this is why, like, myth and storytelling and weaving through ancestral messaging and ancient kind of work and art is like a really present thing in the way I show up, because this is what is part of my story. And anybody who knows me, or anybody who's been following my journey and aligned with my brand, would be able to tell you, like, probably I'm obsessed with drum and bass, I'm trying to get my Italian passport, I love writing, I'm creative, I'm arty. Like, these are things that are weaved through constantly. I'm witchy, I do a lot of ritual and magic. Like, if you watch my stories, if you follow my journey, these things are weaved in consistently. So it's not just what I do for work that makes my brand, it's who I am as a person and how that weaves in and out of other people's lives. And when you really like become well known and like establish a brand like really well, that's when you start to see like people, like if you're in Facebook groups where people ask like, who's the best at this, and then people start tagging, and it's like you become known for this thing. But the only way to become known and the only way to become recognized and establish that level of power and presence is to show up. So you have to do all of the uncomfortable parts first, and you have to do the stuff when it feels like nobody's watching or nobody's paying attention, or it feels like you're not quite sure of your message yet and you're kind of fumbling your way through. Like, all of that is part of the journey. And the quicker we can invite that and lean into that and open to that and welcome that in, the quicker we become a force to be reckoned with. So we're not here to play small, we're not here to hide, we're here to show up and shine. So who's ready to do that today? Fabulous. All right, I'm gonna have a couple more sips of cacao and then I'm gonna dive into the lessons. Okay, so now, as I already mentioned, like when we are thinking about this and when we're working with this, and why I'm doing this workshop now in Scorpio season as a Scorpio, it's because Scorpio is this time of like journeying into the shadows and going to all of these things that are kind of like taboo and hidden beneath the surface and not talked about. You don't talk about wealth and money and power and sex and all of this stuff. And what Scorpio invites us to do is peel back the veil and like the veils lift and secrets reveal, and we're invited to like dive into the depths. And so what Scorpio invites is this peeling back of layers and this intensity and this showing up and sharing and confronting what lies beneath. So it's the season of death and rebirth. It's the season of letting go of what doesn't serve, releasing the old, stepping forth and unearthing our true essence. And then this is where we unlock true alchemy. So in today's workshop, what we're going to do is really connect in with this energy to rebirth a brand. And just as Scorpio guides us to release and unearth and transform, that's what we're going to be doing with your brand. So it's shedding the outdated, reaching into its depths, and emerging with a presence that cannot be ignored. And the kind of themes we'll explore are death and rebirth. So how can we release aspects of our brand that no longer serve? What parts of our brand need to be shed or transformed? And the hidden depths. So Scorpio's energy encourages us to confront the deeper, the shadowy aspects of our brand, and then exploring the hidden strengths and truths we can reveal. And then also looking at alchemy and power. So it's a time to harness our intensity and our vision and alchemizing our brand into something that feels powerful, authentic, and true. Okay, so now that we know what Scorpio is here to do, how about we dive in and begin to do that for ourselves and our brands? So basically we'll begin with shedding what no longer serves. So in the Coven we talk a lot around nature and seasons and cycles and working with the wheel of the year, and how in nature it sheds what's no longer needed. Like we go through autumn when the trees start to shed their leaves, and then in winter everything kind of dies, or like sheds, and then it rebirths in spring and the life comes back. And so we're in that season in Australia now, so it's all like the down under, the southern hemisphere. So it's also the perfect time to be leaning into this and to be going through this resurrection and rebirth, because it's like this fiery invitation and this energy of replenishing and coming back to life, and the summer is coming and it's time to shine and share our lights with the world. So first we release so that we can do that. So to begin, I'm just going to invite you to take a deep breath and close your eyes. And just imagine lighting a fire within. And as this fire lights, you're going to watch each outdated piece of your brand dissolve in the warmth. And funnily, I was like, I'm going to do a burning and shedding ritual just before this call started. And I was like lighting, I wrote everything I'm releasing and I lit it in my black candle, and then I was going to like put it in my little cauldron to burn out. But I dropped the paper and it fell on my altar table, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm going to light my room on fire. Thankfully I didn't. It was all good. But yeah, burning rituals can sometimes go a little out of hand, so be careful when you do it. And at least this one, we're just imagining and feeling it in ourselves. So watching all of these pieces dissolve and letting them go, and anything that's felt heavy or misaligned or outdated, anything that you've taken on that wasn't really yours, that you've been doing maybe because someone else told you that's the way to do it, or other people said that's the way, and you've like adopted all of these things, and now you're kind of in this place of, but this doesn't really feel aligned and that doesn't feel like me. And letting all of those go and just feeling it all fade, and feel how much lighter you get as all of this weight just drops away. And you're starting to be left just with like the core of what's meant to be there. So just letting all of this stuff fade. Think about messaging, think about visuals, photos, social media platforms, names, accounts, all of this stuff. What no longer feels like a fit? And just let all of these pieces fall away, like the leaves falling off the tree. They're all falling away, being released back to the earth, no longer yours to carry. And what I'm going to invite you to do now is just do a little bit of journaling on this. So I've got some questions, and I'll play a song, and we can just do that because we want to let it all simmer and let it all go, so that we can then step into the next phase. So the prompts are: where have I been holding on to what no longer serves my brand's truth? What parts of my brand feel outdated? Are there visuals, messaging, or even offerings that no longer fit my vision? And, oh, I think I froze there for a moment. I'll just repeat that one in case. Are there visuals, messaging, or even offerings that no longer fit my vision? And how would it feel to let go of these aspects? So I'm just going to play one or two songs, and the invitation now is to just journal on those for a little bit. And I'll paste them in the chat too, so you have them there. also receive a workbook along with this replay, so if you want to do this like in more depth later, like this is just a quick taste of it, and then later you can really dive deeper into it. So yes, just thinking, where have I been holding on to what no longer serves my brand's truth? What parts of my brand feel outdated? Are there visuals, messaging, or offerings that no longer fit my vision? And how would it feel to let go of these aspects? What's blocking and what do I need to release? sit with your body for a bit, and this is why I invited the cacao and breathing at the beginning, to really like create that space. So before we move on, let's just take a moment to do that a bit more. Just like sit with it. What is it that I'm releasing? Whether it's visual aspects of your brand, whether it's parts of your identity, like maybe you're not showing up because you're scared of what certain people might think, maybe like past connections that you don't say things because you're worried, oh, what's that person from school gonna think, or what's this family member gonna say? And these things could be blocking you from really expressing and showing up in your brand. So how can you move through that? And like the invitation is to really like open this area and like really like move the hips and move it through this area, because that's where our creative power is and where our creative energy is. So allowing that to really become unblocked and open and floats through voice, expression, vocalizing. So from this space, how is the journey? What's coming through? What's arrived now? Like riding more from that connected stream of consciousness rather than this forced space. And letting any sounds or birds or any of that kind of stuff out of it coming up, because that's releasing what needs to be released. Oh. So really just sitting with this question: what no longer serves my brand's truth? What parts of my brand feel outdated? Are there any visuals, messaging, or offerings that don't fit my vision anymore? And how would it feel to let go of all these aspects? Maybe you want to have a little shake. Walk if you have to. Bounce around. Opening up this channel, because for us to be able to create and invite in what's meant for us, we need to have this activated, open, ready to create. resurrection. And letting everything that doesn't serve go. To open the creative channel and make way for the new. How is our brand going to be positioned? One last song, anchoring this in, dancing through. Dance is the gateway, our bodies are the gateway. Final moments of checking out those final remnants, all the bits of the brand that don't serve and are ready to go. Check it out. Let it all go. And inviting in. And whenever you feel stuck or whenever you don't feel sure, this is the invitation. It's not to get stuck in your head and like try to fixate on things. It's to really like make space to be in the body, to feel, and to then approach from that space of, okay, now I feel alive, I feel energy, I've got something moving in me and that wants to be expressed. And that's how our brands feel alive, and that's how our brands feel the magnetism, and that's when people feel that pull, because it's not this dull, lifeless thing where we're just forcing ourselves to create because we've been told to, and show up because we've been told to. We are here because we've got something moving through, something that wants to be expressed, something that's like impossible to not be expressed. It's here to say, yes, this is my message, this is what I'm here for, this is what I'm here to do, and I'm just a vessel that's moving it through. So that's where we'll be going next. Alright. I've got a minute left of Lilith, which is the perfect Scorpionic song to finish on, that Lilith, dark, feminine energy. Here to shed it all, burn through it all, let it all go. Okay. So what I'd love to know, and this is going to mostly be people watching a replay, is in the comments, if you want to share this and express what came up for you during that, then I would love to hear from you. I'd love to know what you're letting go and how that felt, and like what feels alive in your body now. And what I'm going to share with you here is how this actually looked when I was doing my own brand. So if you're maybe feeling stuck still, then you can kind of see how the process looks. So I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, so anybody who has been following me or like been around this journey of my rebrand, which has been happening over recent months, you may recall that earlier this year, or like even if we go a little bit further back, there was TechWitch, which fully died. And then what was coming through this year was Society, or S Society, which was all around structure, streamlined systems, simplicity, and sovereignty. And as I was traveling and as I was going through my journey through Europe, things just really started to shift for me. And I was like, I don't know if this is it. Like, I knew I wanted to create a membership, and I knew the model I wanted, but the external brand and the external message did not feel alive and didn't feel aligned. And it felt like I was essentially like modeling or even like borderline copying the coach who I was learning from. And I witnessed a lot of other people in that space, in that container that I was part of, starting to do the same. And I was like, we all sound the same. Like, obviously my branding looked different, and the vision and what I was creating looked different and felt different, but inside for me, I was like, this isn't it. And even though I still see myself as the systems girl and I resonate with tech witch, like that's still what I do for a lot of people, it's not what I wanted on the front, because it was kind of trying to create this luxury brand, and I felt really boxed in and really stifled, and like the black and white didn't resonate with me because I'm colorful and vibrant and creative and passionate and fiery and emotional. And it felt like I was always putting this black and white filter over my images and trying to make the feed fit, and like none of my photos matched my feed because that's like not how I dress and that's not what I wear. And it was like I was constantly trying to like squeeze myself into this really dull, dead, lifeless box. And so whilst the concept I resonated with, I started to feel like, no, this isn't it. And every time I tried to promote it and share it, I was like, I don't want to do it. And so if you're feeling like that about your brand, then that's usually a sign that it's not it. And there's some deeper diving and exploring to do. And so while I was traveling, it then became Creatrix Coven, which, yes, like the name feels really alive and really true. And it's like something that I was working on creating a few years ago, and it finally came to life. And I was like, yes, I've landed on the thing. This is the thing that I was always meant to do. And I really resonate with the name and the title and all of that. And I just whipped this up while I was somewhere in the UK and put this out and like changed the brand and went about my travels still. And then I got back to Australia and I was like, something still doesn't feel quite right. It still feels too dark. Like, it brought the red in, which has that fire and that passion, that creativity. But this image, for example, like this was taken in a photo shoot specifically for Tech Witch. So it carries a different energy, and the coloring and the back, like the images that I've filtered behind it, like the snake skin and the mushrooms and stuff, I was like, it's just not quite it. So I was closer and I was on the right track, but it still didn't feel quite right. And so that's where I began to uncover, okay, so these are all the things that don't feel right. And then I went on to this next phase of like unearthing what's the essence of my brand. So this is what we're going to look into next. So Scorpio invites us to the deep well of truth where masks are set aside. I just had to do that because that was there. I do actually love my Venetian masks, but we don't want to wear masks in our brand. We set them aside. And only what is pure and real remains. So here at this point we descend into the soul of your brand. We've done a journey to peel away, to uncover, to like get rid of all the icky mucky stuff that's holding us back. And now we've started to peel away the layers and shed the unnecessary, and now we're discovering the essence. So you've felt the flame and you felt the leaves falling away. Now it's like feeling that steady flame burning, and there's purpose and there's clarity, and you're reaching deep within, and you're like now pulling forth what feels true. So connecting to that creative energy that we just started to bring alive during our moving, and connecting into that and like starting to think like what feels true, what words and images or feelings rise from this fire. So these threads are your brand's soul. Now, obviously we don't have time to play an entire playlist right now, but if you go to my Spotify, and I'll share the link with this replay, I have a playlist called Creative Fire Playlist. So I've got different playlists for different aspects of the creative journey, like different elements that they're connected to. And I think for this kind of energy, for like discovering the soul and connecting to your creative power and like channeling that into your brand, I think listening to that playlist is a good start. And so like it's a lot of songs about fire, like lighting the fires and all of that kind of stuff. So it's a great playlist to listen to. But some reflection to do at this point would then be, and this is an after the call kind of, so we've done the shedding, and now the invitation is for me to share the process with you, and then you go away and do the things, and we might have some time to do some of it, but I'm mindful that we're already getting into an hour, so want to be respectful of your time and not drag this out for too long, although I could sit here for hours. But anyway, so some reflective prompts to really sit with now would be, what words, images, or symbols come up as I connect with my brand's core? What core purpose and values are essential to my brand? And what resonates as the heartbeat of my brand? And I'll just show you some of the pages inside my journal, because you'll see the process. Like, this happens over time. So it's like a lot of scribbling, a lot of like notes about things. Sometimes it'll be visual representations. Like, it's a whole journey of uncovering to get to a point where it's like, okay, I'm set on a brand now, so I don't expect you to walk away from this call and have it instantly all fleshed out. Like, as you can see, this process has taken months, and it's a process of trial and error and fitting and feeling and being like, if it's closer, but it's not quite there. And really the only way to do that also is to like put it out there and see what responses it gets and bring people on the journey with you. Like, one of my favorite things is to actually like sharing my stories and be like, what resonates, and like get people's input, because then I know that they're actually going to respond to the brand as well. So that's what I was doing with Tech Witch, and what I've done with this too is like behind the scenes, like, this is what's going on in my Pinterest board. Would you respond to this name or this name? I'm not quite sure about this. Like, putting little things like that in your stories or in your posts and inviting people to engage with you in the journey actually really supports the building of the brand. So once you've kind of gone through that reflective process and you've got like this kind of visual idea starting to form in your head, then a good thing to do next would be to actually begin to start creating a Pinterest board where you can collate everything that has come up during your visioning. So here's an example of the one I created recently. So you can tell the theme of mine. So because it's creativity, like what I've considered, and like rebirth and metamorphosis, like there's the natural kind of elements, like drawing on the cycles and the seasons and the wheel of the year. There's the butterfly, like transformation, metamorphosis, snake shedding, honey dripping, shadows and light, and then a lot of orange and red because that's like sacral, creative power, energy, fire, all of that kind of stuff. The sun, golds and reds. So that's what comes through when I think of creativity and like bringing that kind of energy through. And that's what came through in the Pinterest board. So again, like at that point, it wasn't very much like it was just a like going through and intuitively starting with this idea. And then like it started very different. It started quite dark and red. And then with like the suggestions that came up in Pinterest, it ended up becoming more orange and yellow. And then that's when I felt like, oh yeah, this feels really right. And so just take it on a journey again, like put on a playlist and don't rush it. Like actually allow yourself the time to connect, to drop into your body first. Maybe like have a cacao, like turn it into a ritual. And that way the energy of the brand is already being infused with a lot of intention and purpose. And that's where the power and magnetism comes in, because it's not just something you've thrown together. It's like a deeply felt experience, and then people feel you. While I've got this in my hand, I'm just going to have a sip. And so you may want to consider things like color psychology or use something like the chakra system. So as I've mentioned, like blue lotus leaves. For Creatrix Coven, the sacral chakra allows with creativity and is represented by the color orange. So I wasn't actually thinking about that when I started creating the Pinterest board, but as I was doing it, that's what was intuitively happening, and I realized I was aligning with that. But here's a few different tables of color psychology that you could potentially look at. So I've got the sources, I'll share them in the replay too. And keep in mind, like different interpretations have different energies. So like this one says red, for instance, is energy, passion, urgency, impulse buying, and warmth. And orange is fun, vibrancy, liveliness, jovial, affordable. And yellow is delight, cheerfulness, vibrant, uplifting, joy, dynamism, vitality. So actually that all really quite resonates with what feelings I want my brand to evoke. If you come to this one, it's a bit different. It's got more, which is all really interesting, or like aligned too. So positivity, warmth, joy, fun, curiosity, clarity, happiness, emotion, definitely optimism, pleasure, freedom, definitely enthusiasm, original youth, excitement, adventure, strength, energy, passion, love, action. So again, quite aligned. There's also purple weaved in every now and then, like not a lot, but you'll notice, like especially in the original one, there was a bit of like that purple tone. And so purple tends to align with the mystery and the spirituality and the art. So that kind of stuff, like, and luxury and exclusivity and premium quality and uniqueness. So when you think in color psychology, then you can start to like really channel into, okay, so how do I want people to feel when they're experiencing my brand? And then you look into this kind of stuff, and obviously don't like over analyze and get stuck in the head, like go with the intuitive stuff. But then it's nice to look and be like, oh, my intuition was pretty on point because that's the feelings I want it to evoke, and then realize that that's what's coming through. But yeah, you'll see that the different charts have slightly different. Here, purple is creative, so that's also aligned. But yeah, like there's different ones that have different emotions. And then, as I mentioned, the chakras as well. So solar plexus is wisdom and power, and sacral is sexuality and creativity. So that's where I've gone for, and that's what aligns. Like when I think of those colors, that's what I was kind of aligning with. The other thing you can consider is astrologically, like how can you weave your astrology in with your brand? So especially if it's a personal brand, like how do you actually really connect in with who you are and channel that essence? Because when you're really being yourself and you're aligned with, yes, this is how I'm meant to be in the world, then all of that external noise just kind of drops away and things don't matter. Like all of this stuff of like, I need to have this by this time, or this result needs to happen, like that kind of disintegrates when you're just operating from this space of like true power and purpose of, I'm on a mission, I'm here to do the thing, I'm here to show up. Like even with this webinar today, it was just like a spur of the moment idea I had, I think last week, because it was my birthday, and I was like, I'm doing the workshop inside the coven anyway. I'm going to invite some people and shout it on my socials for a week, and had a few, like quite a few bites and a few people register. But then obviously like time zones, funny, like difficult. And I know we've like shifted in Australia now, so the daylight savings has made it a little bit more difficult for my East Coast people. And so I was just like, I'm showing up anyway. This is the agreed time, and we might review it at a later date, but this is me committing and showing up. And there's a replay that's going to be shared with people, so I'm not fixating on the, oh, if people don't show up, what happens, and like making that mean anything about me. I'm just like, people have lives and things happen at different times, and it's fine. This is me honoring my commitment and creating the message and sharing the message, because that's what feels alive and true. And then the people that are meant to receive it will receive it in the moment they're meant to. It doesn't have to be in the moment I decided it's happening. They can get the replay. So all of you people watching the replay, thank you. Yeah, that feels really alive and true for me these days. So I'm glad that you're here and choosing to spend time with me, not live. Like, I understand too, like live is better. So if you're then choosing to come and watch a replay, thank you. I really appreciate it. But yeah, so how do you bring astrology in? And because when you do this, then you're operating from this place of like deeper trust and deeper authenticity. And then, as I said, like all of that external stuff doesn't matter so much, because you're not doing it for that. You're doing it for, this is something that wants to be expressed and moved through me, and I'm trusting in that, and I'm showing up for that, and that's my mission, and that's my purpose, and that's in alignment with who I am and what I'm here to do. And that's bigger than this moment in time. Like it's going to ripple out and have effects and tap like energetics and frequencies and all of that kind of stuff. So back to the astrology. There's a few different pieces of our chart that can really be tied in with branding. So your rising sign is how others perceive you at first, so like the face of your brand. The sun is your core identity, life, persons, and essence. So that's the heart of your brand. And I'm sure any of you can tell that I'm a Scorpio through my brand. Like that's definitely weaved in a lot. And my rising is Pisces, so that's where like the mystical and emotional, watery kind of depths come in. And that's why the black and white didn't suit. Like, there's no whimsy there, there's no mystery there. There's like boring. Didn't suit me at all. Then midheaven is your career and public reputation. So this is the impact and legacy you're building. So I'm a Sagittarius, so surprise, surprise that I travel and move around so much, and that actually really anchors and like helps me in my work and inspires me, and definitely is a big element of my brand. Moon is emotional connection and tone of voice, so the voice of your brand. Mercury is your communication style, so that like ties into the rhythm and the style of your content. Venus is aesthetic and brand appeal, so your design, colors, and visuals. So my Venus and my moon are Libra, and so is my Mercury. So all of that is like very balanced and beautiful and aesthetic and all of that kind of stuff. So I don't think my aesthetic is very Libran, nor my design and colors. Like I definitely have the Scorpio a lot more. So you also pick and choose what feels alive and true for you, but it's good to like be aware of this stuff. And then North Node is your brand mission and soul growth. So this is the purpose of your brand. So mine's very Piscean. It's very like for the collective and for the magic and the mystery. So how does your chart tie in with your brand? And so this is just a chart of like what each sign represents. And if you're like uncertain, what you can do, and what I found like really cool, is you come to ChatGPT and you say, hey, I would love to know the best way to approach my branding based on my astrology placements. Knowing that these elements are important representations in branding, how could my chart help me to perform? Now, this isn't the best prompt. I have a proper prompt that I used before, but I'm obviously doing it quickly while I'm on call, so I'm not really thinking about it. But you could paste this in. This is what each of the signs represent. I'll tell you my chart in another comment. Can you help with a brand strategy based on? Okay. So I'm a typing is so great. Let's get an idea. So your chart paints a beautiful picture for a brand that's mystical, alluring, harmonious, and wise, yet also adventurous and transformative. Here's a branding strategy tailored to each placement. So the face of my brand. Pisces makes your brand's first impression deeply enchanting and ethereal. People will immediately feel drawn to something magical, mystical, and compassionate. I think I nailed that one. So lean into a soft, dreamlike aesthetic. Your brand visuals could use fluid shapes, calming colors. Didn't quite nail the colors, but it's okay. It's my languaging that definitely fits this. So intuition, emotional resonance, and creativity. Words like imagine, uncover, and awaken would set the perfect tone. So see how it's starting to help you form a brand that's actually aligned with your makeup and who you're here to be in the world. Then Scorpio Sun, the heart of my brand. So Scorpio brings depth, transformation, and mystery. This is the core of your brand's identity, driving transformation, delving into the unknown, and empowering clients through profound insights. Your brand should focus on guiding clients through deep, transformative journeys, emphasize themes like rebirth, self-discovery, and empowerment. I think I nailed that one. Embrace intensity in your messaging. Scorpio energy allows you to connect deeply with people's desires and challenges. Darker hues, think deep purples, blacks, or burgundy. In moderation can give depth to your visuals without overwhelming Pisces softness. So maybe actually the creatrix scarf and stuff that I had originally could have worked. But anyway, also go on intuition and what feels alive and aligned. Like, always remember, this is just a guide. It's not truth. It's not set in stone. But it's something to think about. Midheaven in Sagittarius is impact and legacy. So that's about wisdom, adventure, and expansion. It brings a sense of optimism and global reach to your brand. So position your brand as not just a service, but as a movement or journey. Incorporate big picture thinking, exploration, and themes of learning and discovery. Show that your brand isn't just here to solve problems, but to inspire growth and possibility. So infuse your brand with excitement, enthusiasm, and a touch of rebellious spirit, encouraging clients to break free from limitations and see new horizons. So definitely that's weaved in. But yeah, you can see what's happening here, and what you could do, so down the bottom it's got a bringing it all together. So rather than like looking at each one, which can sometimes contradict each other, then you come down and you've got the tone, a blend of Libra's elegance and harmony, Scorpio's depth, and Sagittarius's adventurous spirit. Use poetic language and metaphors, especially those inspired by water and transformation. Visuals, ethereal, balanced, and beautiful with a hint of mystique. Soft, harmonious color palettes with occasional deep grounding shades. Balanced, symmetrical layouts with an artistic touch. So I may be too heavy on the intensity, and this can like help me to be like, okay, well, how can I weave a bit more of that balance in and like make it a little bit less intense and see what that does. And then mission statement, something like guiding visionary leaders to awaken their potential, harmonize their inner and outer worlds, and create soulful transformations that inspire. That's obviously not my mission statement, but it helps you as a starting point if you're not sure, and if you are like fully like, I don't know what to do with my brand, use your astrology. It's a great thing. And what you can also do, you can like upload files. So you could also weave in things like your human design chart and your gene keys and like really go deep with it. So spend some time and use these resources that are out there, because that'll really help you deep dive into your brand and hone in on your message and really get clear, because it's an experimentation journey. It's not just gonna happen instantly, and you'll even notice like I'm still refining, I'm still doing it, and that's why I wanted to do this journey in real time. Like it felt really alive to teach this now because it's happening in real time and it's aligned with what's going on. So it felt great to do it while it's fresh, and you'll also then witness like, she's implementing that and she's doing that. So take people on the journey, because people enjoy that. So that's that part. And now we're gonna bring it all together and like bring in the alchemy and transmute. So we've started to connect to the essence of the brand. Now how do we turn that into form? So we've got the soul of the brand in hand, we've connected into it in our hearts, and now it's time to weave it into form. And this is the alchemy of identity, where the raw essence becomes a living, breathing presence, and then this is what resonates out into the world, and this is what people feel and are drawn to. So as we step into this phase, we craft a vessel for your brand's light to shine brightly, creating a form that holds all that you are. So consider each element, color, language, tone, as an alchemical tool, and each choice breathes life into your brand's true self, making it tangible and felt. So this is where we actually start to bring in the key elements of branding. Like we've obviously talked about brand being a feeling and an essence, but for people to feel that and experience that, then there is certain things to do that brings them into that journey. So having a visual representation of all of these things then transforms this abstract essence, this thing that's just like in our mind's eye, into something that can be felt and into an actual identity that then moves through the world and gets experienced by the people who are meant to experience it. So now to like bring it all into alignment, there you want to consider the visual identity. So look at the colors and images and fonts you currently use. Do they align with your brand's core essence? How could they better express the feelings you want to evoke? Think about voice and tone, and consider your language. Is it warm, authoritative, playful? Is it resonating with the message you want to communicate? And return back to those insights like about your astrology and say, like, get clear on that, and does it align, and what are the best ways for you to present your message? And then take all of these elements and begin to create a mood board. So this is one step further from a Pinterest. Pinterest is just like a brainstorm, a brain dump, like getting all of this ideas like that have been swirling and kind of seeing it. And then the mood board is you actually like picking and choosing and placing things with more intention. So you can do this in Canva, and you literally just every time in mine, I'm not timing a client's. You come into Canva, and here's one I prepared earlier. You can like search, and there's templates for mood boards, so you can literally just search mood board and then pick a template that you like. You'll see I've done this many times, so I practice what I preach. But here's Canva templates. So pick a template you like and then start, and basically you're just bringing in, so from the Pinterest board, bringing in a few of the core pieces that represent what it is you want your brand to convey, and what are like the images that really resonate. So like I've said before, mine's transformation, so there's a lot of the butterfly. It's magic and mystical, so there's the smoke and the candles. And then it's like creative and fiery and nature kind of stuff. So it's got the whimsical mermaid skin, it's got the sun, it's got, I think that's a butterfly still. I don't think it's a butterfly, it's something naturey, glass maybe. Anyway, just place things until and then put some images of yourself, like using background remover, images that you think like feel really aligned and represent the brand, because you're obviously going to be using images of yourself in your branding, so which ones feel like they're aligned and that you'll be using. And then what you can do is you come to the color section, and you've got this section where it's got photo colors and you can see all, and so you'll start to see the common tones and common colors, and then this can start to form your color palette. Now this is where I don't follow the rules of branding where you're only meant to have 5 colors and this and that. Like what colors feel like the most alive and the most aligned, and where is some lighter tones, because I don't always want to be intense. Like you want background colors and you want font colors and things like that. So weaving that in and maybe choosing like 5 or 6, and like then you're black and white. But I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so I've got 8. So technically I've got 6 like brown colors, and then I've got like my blacky, which isn't a full black, it's like a dark purpley black, and then my white, which is more a cream. So pick the colors based on the actual imagery and stuff that you'll be using, and then that forms your brand board. Now I actually created my logo before because I created it when I was doing that, but that's obviously something else to consider, is like creating a logo as well. You'll see like I had the butterflies and the circle because we're a coven. So weaving that in, like, just, I'm not going to go too much into logo design today, but that's something else to consider, is like what's something that represents what it is that you're wanting to achieve, and how does that tie in with your messaging too. And so then that's a mood board. So you can just create that in Canva. And then what you want to do, once you've actually got your brand and you're like feeling like, yeah, this feels like it's aligned and it's on point and it's what I want to share, then you come into your brand kit. So if you're going to be using Canva regularly, you want to create a brand kit, and so that way all your colors are saved, your logos are saved, and that's just there for you to access. And all your fonts uploaded too. I'm not going to go into font selection today either, because that, I feel like there's a lot, like I don't want to go into the rules, I want to go into the feeling. So what do you feel, and trust yourself to bring the brand to life from that place. And then yeah, like upload this stuff anywhere else. So if you use, like for me, for Kajabi, I can upload all my colors and fonts into Kajabi as well, all the places, so that then I'm not like having to search every time I'm creating something. The colors are just there, the fonts are there, the logos are there. Saves time. And now, like really like embodying the presence and bringing your brand to life. So we've kind of got this brand, like the crux of it, and it's sort of forming, but now it's about like sprinkling it out into the world so it gets to be felt by people all over. So for people to resonate and for people to feel it and to feel the power of the brand, it requires presence. So where do you want to be present, and how do you want to be present? That's what we're going to look at now. So this is where it becomes an authentic and active embodiment of the brand across all touch points. So by being present is when the magic becomes real and felt by everyone who comes into contact with you and encounters your brand. So if you imagine your brand as like an aura and an energy that surrounds you, as we bring it to life, it begins to permeate through every touch point. And the more touch points, this is like where the world forms and the brand calls forth those meant to find it. So it's like this omnipresence that we're creating, which is this invitation for people to feel and to connect and to know us and to really journey into our world and interact with our brand in the ways that we invite them to, and hopefully weave deeper and deeper into our world each step of the way. With each touch that they have with us and each touch point, we're inviting them into a journey and into an experience. And the aim and the mission is to hopefully inspire them to stay in our world, to continue to journey with us and to take further actions. So the more clear we are on our brand and our message, the more powerful and more present we become, and the more we're felt by the people, because then it's like this switch gets turned on and it's like, ah, there she is, I feel her, I want to be part of that. And so sometimes it's like there's this sticky journey that you're going on, and it's like weaving through, and like this is where it's like the coming out of the shadows, and it's like you're crawling out of the mud, and it's like bit by bit each layer of mud is being removed, and you're like becoming brighter and brighter and more like shining, because you've come through, and the essence is through. It's like the lotus coming through the mud, or like that kind of stuff's happening. It's like getting to that space of clarity and beauty and being felt and magnetizing. So what the invitation to do here would be is to map the manifestation. So think about all the places your brand shows up. And I would invite you to do this on paper, so you can script, like how I've shown you in my journal, the scribbles and things I've done. So you'd put like your brand in the middle, and then put all the touch points where you exist. So Instagram and Facebook, podcasts, Kajabi course portal, Pinterest, YouTube, emails, website, Substack. Like, where are all the places that people can potentially encounter you? And think about offline as well, like events, networking, community, all of that kind of stuff. All of this stuff is part of your brand. And then for each of these touch points, consider things like, does this reflect the brand essence visually? Is the tone of voice consistent with my core values? What feeling does it evoke? What feeling does it evoke, and does it match the desired impact? And is the experience seamless and consistent, or just certain elements feel out of sync? And once you've journaled on those questions for a little bit, then the invitation is to consider, just getting comfortable again, is to consider what shifts need to happen for the soul of your brand to live here. And so then you want to identify and prioritize areas for enhancement, and circle the top 3 areas you'd like to improve. So you don't want to fixate on like, oh my God, I need to fix everything right now, but just go through and like highlight what's the most important and like prioritize in order. So like you'll notice, or like I'll notice, like I'll start the process and then I'll be like, oh, my YouTube doesn't match. Oh, that's right. Oh, my website. Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, I need to update my emails. Oh, wait, my Facebook cover photo. Oh, the Facebook pin photo. Oh, my Instagram, my highlights. Like all of these things. So this is where you brain dump it all out, and then it's like, okay, now I've got a step by step. And like if you look at my LinkedIn, that won't be on brand because I don't care about my LinkedIn as much as I care about my Instagram and my Pinterest and my Facebook. So it's like these things, it's prioritizing what's actually important and where your clients and customers and network actually are, and going through and fixing those places. And you also might want to write a short vision statement that describes the ideal way you want each interaction to feel for your audience. So like we were speaking about at the very beginning, your brand is a feeling, it's an experience. So how do you actually want people to feel when they interact with it? What's the takeaway you want them to have? What's the experience you want them to have? And then set an action plan for each touch point to align with your reborn brand's essence. So step by step. I need to update my cover image. I need to do this. I need to update my welcome video. I need to update my website. Like step, 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 step. And it can be as simple as like, I think I put my to-do somewhere here. It'll be a while back. Okay, I'm not gonna bother showing you. I know it's here. There we go. So it's like all in order, and like I have done most of. I've updated the website. I've updated the IG branding. Turned the creatrix. I've updated the landing page. Recorded this. So like then you can go through and be like, oh yeah, I've actually done all these things. But this is how you bring your brand to life and make sure it's all like this is if you've got a brand and you're updating and fixing it. If you've got a new brand that you're building, then it's like more okay, what are the steps I want to take to bring the brand to life? Where do I want to be present? And again, prioritizing in order. And then once you've done all this, I would encourage you to create a brand Bible. So you can get ChatGPT to help with this. Basically what I did is I uploaded my brand board and I said this is my brand mood board in terms of the visual elements. I want to break this down into a more comprehensive brand Bible that includes key themes, message, identity, tone of voice, etc. Can you help me distinguish all of that and bring the Bible to life, including any elements you feel are important to acknowledge and bringing through all the things we've spoken about? So I've had a lot of conversations with ChatGPT around this, so it had my history already. But you could be going through this process as you go and like getting it to support you bring your brand to life and like getting clear on your message and things like that. But this is then what came through. So I've got my brand essence, I've got the name, tagline, identity, mission statement, key themes and symbols is transformation, alchemy, empowerment, etc. Visual identity broken down, tone of voice, core message, brand voice, including like words to embrace. You could even include something here like the key emojis you use all the time. Like for me, it would be the flame, love heart, and the stars, and the wand, and things like that that are related to magic, and the rose, things like that. Your audience persona, the experience and engagement you want people to have, your content pillars, visual guidelines, and brand values and principles. So ChatGPT helped me like lay it, like I'd been answering a lot of questions and sharing a lot of information, and it really helped me to piece this together into a brand Bible. And what a brand Bible is useful for is one, for yourself, but also if you ever end up hiring people or working with team members and bringing new people in, then this is a really good way to get them invested in the brand. Like you don't have to then be like, oh, I don't know, and oh, I don't know and I don't know where to find that. It's like all just stored in one place. And then what I've got in my Google Drive is a brand folder. So it's got my mood board, it's got my brand Bible, it's got the astrology branding that I chatted about, it's got my human design. So then if anybody ever needs to know anything about my brand when they're working on my business, I can just share this folder with them and it's all there. I don't need to spend hours and hours trying to search for things or explain things. And I know, like, we're definitely going long in time, but I really just want to cover one final thing, which is bringing the really witchy part in. So infusing the brand and the intentions with sigil magic. So I really love to use this in my branding. And basically a sigil is a symbolic personal representation of an intention or desire. So when it comes to branding, we can create a sigil that holds the core energy we want our brand to radiate. And basically, it's like this symbol that's quietly, consistently aligning everything you create with the heart of your brand. So every time your brand's visuals go out into the world, whether it's a social media post, a website, or a product, you're infusing it with your brand's intention. And this allows you to turn that intention into a powerful visual symbol that becomes the soul of your brand. So some really cool examples of how you can use sigils. For example, like what I do, and I've got it on my mood board. So here, this bit here, this is my sigil. Now that's not actually like present anywhere. It's not actually part of my logo or anything. It's just like my personal creation behind the scenes. But what I do with this is I actually put it in my designs. So it's uploaded in my logo section, and then what I do, like when I'm creating social media stuff or I'm creating like the banners and things, I put this in the background. So it's intentionally weaved in, and it's like really so I'll like make it transparent to the point where you can barely see it, but I know it's there. And that way it's being charged in every creation I make. The sigil is there working its magic. You could go a layer deeper, and something really cool we did when I was in one of the teams I was in, and we were making a music video for one of his songs. We did this week of ritual and created stuff like business content and his music video. And we did this session where we created sigils, and then we did a burning ritual for the sigils, and that was part of the video clip. And so these sigils are out there in the world, and every time anybody watches that video clip, they're being charged. Like that intention is consistently being charged, and what we put into that intention and what we put out there is consistently working its magic, even without us even thinking about it or knowing, remembering what we created. It's like constantly working magic. So that's how cool sigils can be. So if you've never created a sigil before, this is the steps to do it. And I like to use like a pretty big notebook for this, and like texter kind of pens. And basically what you want to do, and you'll notice I've done this many times, so this was like my Tech Witch one. You can see like that's the page where I was trialing it out until I got to the thing I liked. And then where's my create? This is my recent one for Creatrix Coven. So basically you want to come up with a word or phrase. It could be an archetype you want to embody. Like for instance, one of mine that I was working with a while back and probably resonates again now is the wealthy creatrix. Or you might use a clear I am or my brand is statement. So this will be the core energy you're carrying through every part of your brand. So for instance, and this is a little bit over the top, but Creatrix Coven is a global life-changing, paradigm-shifting, millionaire-making organism. We're fucking the system. Just had to like really be intense. And to be honest, you're crossing out all of the repetitive letters and stuff anyway, so having a super long one probably isn't necessary, but it's fun, and it's that intention that you're weaving in. So what you do is you write the phrase down, and then you go through and you cross out any vowels, and then you cross out any repeating letters. So then what you'll be left with is a series of letters that is like just one of each letter and no vowels. And then that's what you use to create your sigil. So you could just like take the letters and like arrange the letters into a drawing, which is what I did with the Tech Witch one. It was like more of a letter kind of drawing. What I did for this one is I went more layers, is I figured out what number associates with the letter, and then I did number magic, and and then I took those numbers and made them into whatever their Roman numerals are. And then it's the Roman numerals that I used to create the sigil. So it's like, because then it's like ones and V's and X's, so it's easier to turn them into a drawing than that many letters. So use your intuition here, play and have fun and just see what comes out. Again, don't rush the process. Like, go into a ritual, maybe do some self-pleasure, have a cacao, put on music, and like really move and dance and like channel that creative energy like we did at the beginning. And when you feel like you've like opened a portal, then allow whatever wants to come through and like create from that space. And just remember, there's no right or wrong. Like, this was when I was in the ritual portal, I shared it to my stories, and this is always fun. Like, these are ways to charge your magic, is by like sharing little subtle hints of what you're doing. So that got shared to my stories, so then people would be seeing that and charging that and like imbuing the magic. So there's no right or wrong. Trust yourself. When it feels like your brand, you'll know it's ready. And that's why you just keep, and that's why there's always like a million scribbles on my pages when I do it, because it's like I get to the point where I know, okay, like, yes, I know this is it now. Like, that one took a long time to get to as well. And for this Creatrix Coven one, I had like other pages in this journal first where it looked completely different. So yeah, just have fun with it. I don't know where it is in there, but yeah, you'll just know, you'll feel it when it's ready. You'll be like, oh yeah, that's the one. And then if you want to take it that further step, you can then take that drawing and create it in the digital. So I don't remember what template I did it on, but that's where I then created it as a digital version, so then I can infuse it into my designs, as you'll see I've done here. So that is it. So yes, that is all. If you have any questions and you're watching the replay, then what you can do is just share them around this video, reach out to me. Yeah, you can't share them around this video. You can reach out to me, and if you would like to join the coven and get access to all of our monthly workshops and all the pre-recorded content and loads of other stuff, there's monthly astrology like seasonal transmissions around working with the energy of the season, and there's 2 calls a month at the moment, and then a lot of pre-recorded content around like the art of business and like creating like the techie systemsy behind the scenes, how you actually bring the brand and the vision and all of that to life. So it is a coven for the creative people who don't have the tech savviness and want to learn and like really bring all those things through so that the brand can be in the world even more powerfully and more strongly. So if that feels of interest to you, then the link to join is under this video, and if you have any questions, just reach out to me on Instagram and I would love to help you out, or by email. But yeah, today you have journeyed into the soul of your brand. You've witnessed its shedding and its resurrection, and we've really harnessed Scorpio's alchemical power. So even if you're watching this outside of Scorpio season, it's fine. That power is still there. It's can work with it at any time, but it's really like that's been harnessed into this video, and you can do these processes and these rituals at any moment, knowing that that's the energy that has been brought into this space. So may this reborn brand resonate with all of those who encounter it, and it be felt in the depths of their being. And may it ripple out and have the impact it's meant to have in the world. So thank you for being here. And I'm just going to play the resurrection song now to really anchor this resurrection energy in. And we'll close out with a little dance. And while we're doing this, the invitation is to really hold your brand's energy in your mind's eye and just feel its presence surrounding you, and step forth with it resonant, clear, and alive. So we've got 2 more minutes together, so let's anchor that all in. Setting that intention, the people are feeling it. It's reaching the people it's meant to, and they're being drawn, magnetized, anchored. Feeling the energy weaving into the world. You are resurrected. You are alive. Your brand is alive. It's a felt sense. Everyone who's meant to be receiving it is receiving it. And that is all. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Actually, let's just let it now wash over us. It's like softening energy, washing it all over us, really feeling it melt. Your work is having the impact it's meant to have in the world. As we rush this no force, there's no set timeline. It's your timeline and yours alone. And the more you commit and the more you show up for this path, the more it has the effect it's meant to. And that is all. Thank you for being here. And I would love to see you in the coven. If you are not already a member, then please do reach out and ask any questions, share anything that came up. Just anchoring that in and releasing that final piece. Just the invitation is to share and enjoy building your brand and sharing your brand with the world. And I really, really hope to see and tag me or share as you go on your branding journey. Really, I'd love to see how the experience is happening and what's alive for you as you're doing it. And would love to see it in real time, you building your brand too. So it's jade.thecreatrix on Instagram, and that way I can share your brand too. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time. Lots of love.